Hey, comedy fans, welcome back to another episode of the Comedy the Carlson cast. I'm your host, my name is Vinnie, and joining me in studio with your headliner this weekend, Chris Reid. Today's episode is brought to you by Comedy the Carlson, the only place in Rochester you'll be able to see Benji Brown August 3rd and 5th. Coming up that same weekend in the Rickles Room, we have Steven Rogers August 4th and Mike Racine August 5th. Tickets for those shows and all shows are available now at carlsoncomedy.com. And now, let's start the show. Good morning, Carlson casters. Welcome to another episode of the show. My guest today is best known as one half of the iconic duo Kid and Play. He's an actor, he's a rapper, he's a comedian, and folks, I mean this, he's a true entertainer. He's also your headliner here at Comedy at the Carlson this weekend for 5 more shows. Good morning, Kid.
What's happening, Vinny?
It's great to have you here, man.
It's great to be here, man. I love your setup. It's like a curiosity shop, you know.
It's a little weird sometimes. It gets a little weird,
but I like it. It's cozy.
All right. One of these days, they're just gonna find me in here, crushed to death by these shelves.
Right.
Fall on me.
Right under a pile of Funkos and and wrestling memorabilia.
Is there a better way to go?
No, just he died doing what he loved.
Yeah, sitting.
Yeah, that's true too.
So, Chris, I'm really excited to have you here because I've been thinking about this a lot today. You, to me, in my generation coming up, were the antithesis of what rap was. I was 8 years old in 1990.
Okay.
There was comic books.
Yeah.
There was a Saturday morning cartoon.
Yeah, there was.
Kid and Play were rap to me.
Mm-hmm.
And
it's a good entry point for you.
It really was a good entry point for me. And it's so, like I said, a little surreal to have you sitting across from me today. I don't get starstruck very often.
Right.
Here we are. So I guess I wanted to talk to you a little bit about how you got into stand-up comedy, because it seems like such separate universes, but in a lot of ways, they're very similar.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I was fortunate enough to, be friends with some of the greatest comedians over the years, just kind of on the hangout tip, on the friendship tip. So I'd been around that element for a long time before I even started. But I had good friends like Bill Maher and Tommy Davidson really kind of urged me to get into it and to do it. And at the time, Kid and Play was it was in a bit of a valley. Okay. We had kind of taken some time off. So, and I think I was doing a syndicated show that Dick Clark produced called Your Big Break. It was kind of the precursor to American Idol. And I remember actually getting the job over Ryan Seacrest at the time. But we just did one season of it, and I got fired. So I'm like, sorry, I don't got a job. Kid and Play is kind of in a lull, and I need something to do. So, with their encouragement and help, I decided to give it a go. And one of the original performances was on Oprah Winfrey show.
I saw that you did one of your debut national stand-up performances.
Yeah.
Was on Oprah.
Yeah, imagine that. Yeah.
Not a place known to be stand-up heavy.
No, but the topic of the show was funny people and who they think are funny.
Interesting.
So so everybody brought somebody on. DL brought Samore on. Jon Stewart brought Louis Black on. There were a couple other people that I can't remember, but Bill Maher brought me on, and Bill Maher was on the show talking about that we're good friends, and he's like a really he's super funny, one of the funniest guys I know. He compared me to Chris Rock, and
wow.
I'm like he ain't never told me that. I'm like, what are you doing?
I know Oprah. That's like printing gospel. That's printing facts.
Exactly. Coming from him,
yeah,
who's one of the greats. And that was one of the first times I did it. So I was mad nervous. And I already knew Oprah. I knew Oprah from, we'd had dealings with her on the Kid and Play tip.
Sure.
So, I kind of, it was one of my first times, but I could hear her laughing. She was getting into it. And I think from there, I just really tried to immerse myself into it. I was calling up all the improvs around the country, calling up my man, Robert. What's the dude's name? Robert, that ran them for all those years.
You think he books me? I don't know.
No. Yeah. So I called up all the improvs around the country, and I just gave them my services damn near for free so that I could get as much stage time.
What year are we talking here?
We're talking like 99, 2000.
Okay.
And so I told them, I'll be there from Tuesday to Sunday. I'll host it. I'll host every show so that I can get up and down back for, just kind of accrue stage time.
See, that's brilliant.
Yeah, I was just like, and the price I gave him was ridiculous. Like he couldn't. I made him an offer they couldn't refuse, literally. And so we did a bunch of that, and just started, accruing stage time, which, as you know, is extremely valuable, and there's really no substitute for that.
Did you watch stand up a lot as a kid?
Oh, absolutely. Oh
Really?
yeah, yeah, yeah. We were Pryor fans, we were Eddie fans, and like I said, excuse me, had the benefit of being friends with some of the greats. I mean, Martin, Chappelle, like I said, Tommy Davidson, Bill. These are people that I hung out with on the regular, on the daily. So I was, like I said, I was always around that element. So and and if that's that kind of circle of friends, you have to be as quick and as witty as they are, or you're just gonna get mopped.
Well, it takes a little bit more than that, because what you did is you said, I'm hanging out at this group of great comedians. I could do that too. It's what you ended up doing.
Yeah, but guess what? It wasn't my idea at first. Like I
Okay.
said, I kind of got a nice little push in the back, or else
Sure.
maybe I'd just be bullshitting around and really not get to it. So that Oprah thing was, I thought there was just going to be like a sit down, but then Mar calls me. He says, "Yo, they want you to do stand up," and I'm like, "Well, I'm just starting out. What am I? He says, "Yo, you got to do stand up," and I was like, "God." So I remember Tommy Davidson helping me with my first routine. And then after that, it was, just kind of sink or swim. Just kind of go for it.
God bless Bill Maher for this, because
It's crazy, man.
it is wild, because
And he takes credit for it too, which is cool.
They always say that, like, the person who's best for a job, like they say, like when you talk about like the presidency, for example, they say the person who's best for the job is never ever going to want it. And they end up like people end up like, going to do it that don't really belong there. But Bill Maher saw what you had and like pushed you towards it.
Yeah.
And God bless him for that.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if it would have gone down the same way if he hadn't kind of gave me that impetus. And then once I started doing it, I realized that I really dug it. It was, and like I said, Kid and Play was in a valley, but that I was still able to be on stage. And what I did realize, to your point, when I got on the stage doing comedy, it didn't feel unfamiliar.
Okay.
It didn't feel foreign. It felt kind of similar. So I think being a rapper helped prepare me for also being a stand-up, because look, you got to have stage presence. You already had that. I'm used to performing in front of thousands and thousands of people. And then just trying to be quick-witted, and then I was able to add kind of a musical element to some of the comedy, which I think kind of made me stand out. And just the challenge of it. I remember years ago, the famous manager, Barry Katz, I went to visit him out in LA, and he got me in the office, and he was like, "Kid, I don't know why you want to do comedy. There's never been a rapper that's become a successful stand-up." And my point was like, well, I don't know. That kind of makes me want to do it now.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I'm like, nobody's ever done it. And now, there's a few, people from the hip hop game, the rap game that are doing it. So, and I wanted to do it and stick with it so that I would always be able to do it. As long as I can talk, I can get on a stage and tell some jokes.
Absolutely.
And so even when the Kid and Play stuff started coming back and sizzling again, I was still doing it and able to put a little more jokey parts into the Kid and Play shows.
Yeah.
So he and I going back and forth. And so that added, once we got Kid and Play got back up, that added an element.
Yeah.
A
it
really nice,
evolve the act.
Yeah. It helped us evolve the act.
Yeah.
So it made that banter, in between songs, a lot more funny and more entertaining. And that's something that other rap groups do not do. They're not sitting up there telling jokes and, in between songs, so, it's been a nice addition to some of the other cool things that I've gotten to do over the years.
Well, I've heard you talk a lot about how, rap and comedy are kind of the same thing. And as you just said, like, stage presence is a big part of it.
Sure.
One of the things I always find, the really good comics know how to get into a rhythm with the crowd.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can you try to, I guess, in layman's terms, for people who are listening to this who've never done comedy, kind of explain what that means to people? Because I say it and I feel like I can never articulate it.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I agree with you that there is a rhythm, and every show, might have a different rhythm because, it's a different audience, a different crowd, even from the early show to the late show. I think what I try to do is when I get out there, I'm going to kind of mess with the crowd a little bit, do a little crowd work and just kind of, take the temperature of the thing,
Sure.
and then, identify who's out there, kind of make a connection. And then, and if you set it up right, the callbacks later are going to smash because you've already identified these people and what they're about and how long they've been married and how big her titties are and how you know what I'm saying? Stuff like that.
Sure.
And you can come back later. The callbacks are going to slam.
Yep.
So, and excuse me, that's how you get into a rhythm, and it also kind of gives each show its own kind of fingerprint and then personality. So, some comics don't do that. Some comics get right to the jokey jokes. But I learned from guys like Tommy Davidson and Joe Torre. They have the ability to do that. So once again, that's kind of something that I like to do. I'm not up there freestyling for the whole set.
Sure.
But I think it's important in the beginning, just kind of getting to know everybody. Okay, all right, I see you, girl. Hey, girl.
So whenever I prepare for one of these interviews, I always spend a lot of time trying to read past interviews people have done. Also, read reviews and stuff. But one of the things that I've consistently heard about you is that every set is different and has its own vibe and its own feeling. And that's hard to do.
Yeah, I mean, and like I said, I think that was the intention. That was the intention, so that it feels like a unique experience, and it kind of gets everybody involved.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like I said, everybody's got their own particular style. That's certainly not Bill Maher's style. He's not talking to the audience. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
That's not his vibe. But for those of us that do it and can do it pretty well, like I said, it goes back to what you're talking about. It's about a rhythm.
Mm-hmm.
Now you get it, and what I try to do is like I'll get in and I'll slip into the jokes real smooth with it. You know what I mean? I won't just say okay, and that's the freestyle session. You know what I mean? I'm gonna slide in your DMs like real smooth with it.
One of the things that's magical about stand-up comedy is how easy people think that it is.
Oh God!
Like when they watch it.
Oh,
so
God.
like when you have somebody like Kid who could go up on stage and riff and play with the crowd and improv, people always think that they could just do that and that it's very easy.
Oh yeah.
Sometimes it goes wrong. Has there ever been a time where things just went like, oh no, why do we go there?
Oh well, I mean, there's one that comes quickly to mind.
All right.
I don't think it was I don't think it was a result of a freestyle session. I think
of course.
I was in Indianapolis. There used to be a comedy club there called Crackers.
Okay.
First of all, there was a big problem with that, but whatever. So and I was doing it, and I've been crushing all weekend. So this is the last show on Saturday.
Okay.
And I started out great. And I think, I don't know, I just kind of got ahead of myself. Maybe I was feeling myself. Maybe I'd had a pop or two too much. And it started getting away from me, and I could just feel the tension in the crowd like rising. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it's they just, and then you start to panic a little bit. You know what I mean? All right, let me try to wheel this in, but it was too late, man. The forest was ablaze. And that's the only time I've ever had to, you know what? Then I was like, you know what? Yeah, I do need to go. So I just, I had to bounce, and I had one of my homeboys, a cat that I went to high school with, that lives in Indianapolis. He's a doctor, and so when I got to the green room, he was in the green room, like, like he said you had him, but you gave it back. You gave it back. You fumbled at the one, kid.
Yeah.
So yeah, it does. It certainly doesn't happen often, but that's why you always have to be. You got to be vigilant.
Yeah.
You got to be vigilant, and just watch the tempo and always keep your finger on the pulse, kind of deal. Back in the days when we were doing the improv, and those Saturday night 3-show nights, 7, 9, and 11. Mm-hmm. Oh my God, that's dreadful. By the third show, you don't remember what you said. Did you say it? A couple of times. Was that
the second show? Did I already do that joke?
Yeah, you're questioning yourself, and then you say, "Nah, let me tell it." And then the guy, "Yo, you said that already." I'm like, ah. So, but most times that's a very small percentage, but it keeps you on your toes. It keeps you on your toes, and like I said, you gotta stay vigilant and keep your eyes on the prize.
A lot of people think that's one of the easiest things to do is go up and play with the audience.
Yeah, no.
You
even though it's kind of a You know what? When I used to travel with Joe Torre before I even started doing comedy, and I would see him do that in the beginning. What I used to tell him and how we defined it was it's the equivalent of a speed bag. You know, like
Okay.
when the boxer's doing the speed bag, like it's the beginning of the workout. So we just that's kind of what this is. Now you have to do it. Excuse me. You got to do it with a purpose, and in the back of your mind, you got to know how you're going to land the plane and get into the material. You got to get into unless you're Mark Curry, you're not going to freestyle all night. You know what I'm saying? Mark Curry can freestyle for an hour. You know, Sinbad can freestyle forever.
There's people who could do it.
There's people who can do it, and that's great for them. You know, Sinbad is one of my heroes. He's one of the best to ever do it, and
Agreed.
His stuff is at least 50% freestyle.
So, folks, I'm going to give away 2 pairs of tickets to see Kid tonight. If you would like to get those, I want you to email. I want you to email me the secret word house party to carlsoncast@gmail.com. I'll pop that up on the screen there for you. I think carlsoncast@gmail.com, and I will be giving out 2 tickets to the first responders. We'll pop that up there for you. So, folks, I'm really glad to have Kid here today, because one of the things that I thought was interesting about your career is how high success in so many different levels.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's very interesting to see. Movies.
Yeah.
House Party. Now tell me if I'm wrong. I've heard this. I think this might be an urban legend. Was it originally offered to Will Smith and Jazzy Jeff?
Yeah. That was our understanding. You know, obviously, you know, Jazzy Jeff and Fresh Prince, they were, you know, they're one of the great hip hop groups of all times. Good friends of ours. You know, we toured together for a while. But I think there was some legal entanglements. You know, at the time, this is New Line Cinema, who owned the rights to House Party, and they were trying to make House Party. They had attached Reggie and Warrington Hudlin to direct and produce.
And they were the writers and creators. Of the series.
Reggie Hudlin wrote and directed it, and his brother Warrington was one of the producers. But I think, to my recollection, Will and Jeff had some legal entanglements with New Line, because they had a record out at that time called Nightmare on My Street.
Got it.
Which so there was some kind of Nightmare on Elm Street entanglement, and so I think that's where that kind of went left. You know, and the thing about stuff like that, like when you turn stuff down, and we experienced that down the line with some other stuff that we turned down, you always feel like you're going to get another opportunity to do that. You know, it's just like, you know, if you got to the Super Bowl and you didn't win, you're just like, man, we're gonna, you know, like Dan Marino thought he was.
I was gonna say, tell that to Marino.
Yeah, he thought he was gonna get back, and he never got back. So I think maybe Will and Jeff was just like, you know what, we're beefing with these guys. There'll be some other movie opportunities, and there were for Will. But
they were half right.
we kind of stepped in, and Reggie Hudlin was a big fan of ours anyway, from like our music videos and stuff. He used to roll up on me in the clubs and ask us, you know, about him directing our music videos. This is before House Party, and we were cool. We had a nice little team we were working with, so we politely declined. But one time he rolled up on me in the club, and I said he had a movie script, and I was like, all right. So I turned him on to our management at the time, and they got me the script. You know, it was my job to read stuff. You know what I'm saying? It was a Kid and Play. Give it to Kid. He can read.
Got it.
And read the script, and what I remember is it wasn't all the way there, but it was the best thing that I'd read that had been submitted for us to do. It was like, you know, 70% there. You know, great foundation, great structure, characters and stuff like that, but it didn't have the flavor. So I'm thinking, you know what, we can bring the flavor. We can bring that flavor and bring it up 80, 90, maybe 100%, and also bring our fans. I mean, we got gold and platinum records at that point.
Yeah.
So excuse me. So that's kind of how that came about. But yeah, it was our understanding that and don't get me wrong, I mean, Jeff and Will would have been great. They would have smashed it.
Sure.
Easily. But yeah, that was that opportunity. But then later on down the line, we get an opportunity to do we got a TV deal over at NBC. Mm-hmm. And we're super hot. We got the cartoon on NBC already. Mm-hmm. And but we have the TV deal is in the works. They got producers. It's proceeding along. Then they canceled the cartoon. NBC canceled the cartoon, and we took it kind of personally. Like, we were very pleased that we were the first rappers to ever have a cartoon. We were big cartoon heads growing up. We enjoyed doing it, and we took it personal, which was really stupid because at that time NBC was getting rid of all the cartoons and they were going live. TNBC, Saved by the Bell, all this and that. So we shouldn't have took it personally, but we did. And we told them, I think Warren Littlefield was the head of NBC at the time. We were like, yo, we told our management, we was like, yo, if they cancel the cartoon, then we don't want to do the TV show.
Sure.
Which was one of the stupidest things we ever did. And to my earlier point, because we thought we were going to get another bite at the apple. We thought we was going to get another, we'll get a deal at ABC. We'll get a deal at CBS.
Right.
And we never really we got some other deals down the line, but we didn't get to the finish line with them. So it's kind of weird. And that slot became Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. So that's weird how that turns around. Like, yeah, they missed out on House Party, and we missed out on, being the black hip hop show on network television kind of deal. So, this business is crazy, man. It's like when you hear actors talk about the roles they turned down, you're like, motherfucker, you turned that shit down.
Well, I was going to ask you, was there anything that you were getting presented that you turned down that you went, oh man, apart from like the TV show?
One thing that quickly comes to mind, like, we're hot. We're super hot. A couple of house parties in or what have you. And we had some, we had Bernie Brillstein was our manager at the time. So we got a little, big power broker and stuff, like an old school cat, but he was really into us. And so we were getting lots of scripts. And I remember there was one script that came in. And it was a buddy comedy, me and Play. I think Play was a cop. And I was a gay hairdresser.
Okay.
That witnessed a murder. Okay. And the Play as the police was gonna have to protect me. So it's a buddy comedy caper and this and that. And for some moronic reason, I didn't want to play a gay character.
Okay.
At that particular time, and I regret it because it would have been hysterical. Yeah. And so I don't know, just I whiffed on that one. I whiffed.
Well, one of the things that in 2023 we look back with hindsight.
Then I end up with a gay son. How about that?
Well, in 2023, one of the things that we tend to do is look back on things. And one of the things that 2023 doesn't look back on too fondly is like stereotyping. And if you were going to play a gay character in 2023, people might be outraged that a straight man played a gay character. So maybe
good point. And I mean, and my
dodged a bullet.
Yeah. And maybe my biggest regret was, but this was, we're talking about 92, 93,
sure.
And I could have played it. I could have played it in my sleep. You know what I mean? But yeah, isn't it weird how that turns around? Like, why is he playing a gay man? I mean, I think there's a little too much self-examination now. You know what I mean? Like that. It's getting hot in her. You know what I mean? Like we're actors. We're actors. We don't have to. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I mean, I know there's levels and layers to it, but to your point, it's very sometimes it's a little exhausting.
If I pretended to understand it, I don't understand anything. I just try to respect people's opinions. I just say, oh, that's how you feel. Great.
Yeah. Live and let live. Go sally forth.
But folks, I could talk to you all day, kid. I know you have a lot of things going on, and I really would love to keep you here a lot longer, but I'm going to let you go in a minute. I just want to remind everybody there are 5 shows this weekend at Carlson Comedy.
Hey.
Tickets are available now at carlsoncomedy.com. You can see Chris Kid Reid at 7:30 tonight, 7 and 9 the rest of the weekend. But one of the things I want to ask you, because you breathe a lot of rarefied air for like the way you started comedy. You didn't start at open mics necessarily not knowing anyone.
Right.
You had some of the best in the business giving you advice.
Yeah.
So I can imagine that is some very valuable advice that you got early on from those guys.
Yeah. Certainly. And look, I'm a good, I study, you know what I mean?
Sure.
Whatever I'm trying to get into, I'm going to study it. I'm going to watch the greats. I'm going to watch, and they do so much the greats. I mean, there's lots of comedians out there, first and foremost, but there's lots of different styles of comedians that you can learn from and how they do their stuff. You know what I mean? I love Earthquake, these, like I said, a lot of these guys are friends of mine, and just to have their respect, as a peer, that means a lot. But the rarefied air, what I found was, it only buys you a little time.
Okay.
You know, you still got to deliver. You know what I mean? Once they love you, and they know, they're familiar with your past, and that's part of the reason why they're here. They're curious. Like, what's this about? So you got to hit them. You got to. That's why I like to come out. You know, I come out hot.
Yeah.
Like this. You know, we're gonna have some fun tonight.
Well, I know what you're talking about in terms of, I've seen a lot of people who have done other things and been successful and worked on high levels that step into comedy, and it is a struggle for them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you may have a name recognition that could sell some tickets.
Sure.
The question is, you spent so much time trying to figure out if you could, you didn't stop to think if you should. Maybe you weren't there yet to be doing what you were doing. But in your case, you've been doing this for 24 years now. We're talking 25 years.
Yeah. Geez.
And that's a career. That's like a career for some people. You've dedicated time to learning how to do comedy well. So,
you know, and I've done lots. I mean, comedy clubs, all, you know, big, small. You know what I mean? I've done some divey ones. I've done, you know, mid-level joints. I did, you know, top-level joints as well. So I'm, you know, and that's what you have to do. I mean, sometimes, you know, I'm in Beaumont, Texas. You know what I mean? I'm doing shows with my good friend Billy D. Washington, and you know, we're in El Paso. So, you know, we put the work in.
Okay, so here's my question, and I'm sorry for being so verbose on it. I haven't even gotten to it yet. I've been setting this up.
Okay, here we go.
Okay, the question is,
lift off.
If you were going back in time to when you first started, you were first stepping on stages, and you got advice from some of these folks about your actual performance, not about networking, not about who to talk to about this, but about actually your performance on stage.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think was some of the best early advice you got to set yourself apart on stage?
Well, I mean, it's going to sound corny and cliched, but, you know, first and foremost, like, I mean, and what has worked for me is you literally just have to be yourself. Mm-hmm. You know, and I know that sounds like, duh, but you really have to. And in that, that's the foundation of it.
It's not duh, because people come out as characters all the time, or they come up with some type of.
Nah, I'm me. I'm me up there because
version of
I'm
themselves.
giving you and it's an offshoot of what you already know. It's not, you know, I'm not coming up there telling Stephen Wright jokes.
Right.
You know what I mean? That wouldn't compute. So that's that be yourself type stuff. Like I said, being vigilant, knowing when to get in and out of the freestyle, back to the material, back and forth. You know, your dismount has to be memorable, and then you know, and then ride off on the horse.
Well,
into Rochester.
Here we are. Whoa, Nelly. Kid is going to be here for 5 more shows this week, and I'm looking forward to tonight's show. I will be there. You can be there too if you text or call House Party. You can text us too, by the way, 585-371-8108, or you can email carlsoncast@gmail.com. I have 2 pairs of tickets I'm going to be giving away. So if you were the first to do either of those things, you're coming to the show this weekend. We're going to be back next week. Until then, act right, Rochester. And please make sure that you're following Kid on Instagram and Twitter at Kid from Kid and Play.
Yep.
And I hope to see you again. I hear you're coming back to Rochester in a few weeks with Play. You guys are doing a music show at Parcel 5.
At what is it called? Parcel 5. Parcel 5. I'm sorry. I've been messing that up.
I may have just misspoken too.
No, Parcel 5. Yeah, big show with Big Daddy Kane, Yo-Yo, Kid and Play, the gaggle of stars. So it'll be nice to come back on that tip. So yeah, you know, you're gonna be seeing a lot of Kid from Kid and Play over the next few weeks.
Feel free to stop by the club anytime.
That's right.
I
sure will.
We'll see you guys again next week. Until then, act right, and we'll see you at the show. Thank you for being awesome and watching another episode of the Carlson Cast. Don't forget, we're streaming live on Facebook and YouTube every Friday morning. You could also follow us on social media on Twitter and Instagram at CarlsonCast. You can listen anytime on iTunes, Google Play, and we're now available on Spotify. You should also check out an amazing app called Laughable. And on the Laughable app, you can connect to your favorite comedians in a way you never thought you could before. Download it in the App Store and visit carlsoncast.com for information on more shows. And don't be a jerk. Rate and review.
Yeah, the things